A neighborhood Karen drops the biggest legal bombshell in reality TV history as she takes unprecedented action against America's most feared judge. After Rebecca Henderson secretly records Judge Judy's private moments for 47 minutes, the iron-fisted TV legend fires back with consequences that will destroy Karen's life forever. But what Judge Judy discovered on that confiscated phone wasn't just illegal recording. It was a calculated conspiracy to destroy her reputation, and the evidence will shock you to your core. Before we dive into this incredible case, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love seeing where my viewers are around the world. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss more unbelievable cases like this one. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. It was 2:47 p.m. when I saw it, a tiny red light glowing behind Rebecca's designer purse in the courtroom gallery. I sat in the production booth monitoring the cameras, but something felt wrong. The air was thick with tension as Judge Judy grilled both parties about a neighborhood fence dispute that should have been simple. For 3 hours, we had been filming what seemed like another routine case between feuding neighbors. Rebecca Henderson, a 42-year-old homeowners association president, sat perfectly composed in her business suit, clutching her purse like her life depended on it. But that small red light told a different story. Across the courtroom, Maria Santos, a 67-year-old grandmother, dabbed her eyes with a tissue as she explained how Rebecca was demanding she tear down a fence her late husband had built around his memorial garden. What should have been a straightforward property line dispute was about to explode into the biggest courtroom scandal in television history. I leaned forward, squinting at Rebecca's bag. The red light pulsed steadily, hidden behind the leather but visible if you knew where to look. My stomach dropped. She was recording everything. Judge Judy stood behind her bench, laser-focused on the case details, completely unaware that every private word, every off-camera moment, every confidential conversation was being captured by a woman who had spent 6 months planning this exact moment. Rebecca's fingers trembled slightly as she adjusted her purse, making sure the hidden camera had the perfect angle. She thought she was untouchable. She thought she could outsmart the most experienced judge on television. She was about to learn how wrong she was. The bailiff moved closer to Rebecca's row, his trained eye finally catching what I had spotted. He whispered something into his radio, and within seconds, security began positioning themselves around the courtroom. Judge Judy continued questioning Maria about the fence dimensions, but I could see the storm brewing. Rebecca had no idea that her secret recording device was about to turn her from plaintiff to criminal defendant in less than 60 seconds. Then it happened. Judge Judy's assistant approached the bench with a folded note. The judge read it, her famous stern expression growing even more intense. She looked up slowly, scanning the courtroom until her eyes locked directly onto Rebecca Henderson. The room fell silent. Even Maria stopped crying. Judge Judy set down her gavel and spoke 4 words that would change everything. Stop recording. Right now. Rebecca's face went white. Her carefully planned scheme crumbled in an instant as every eye in the courtroom turned toward her. The hidden camera she thought was undetectable had been discovered, and 47 minutes of unauthorized footage was about to unleash legal consequences that would follow her for the rest of her life. But what Judge Judy found on that phone wasn't just evidence of courtroom recording violations. It was proof of something much darker, something that would expose Rebecca's true intentions and destroy everything she had worked to build. If you've ever wondered what really happens when someone tries to secretly expose a TV judge, you're about to witness the most devastating courtroom takedown ever recorded. But first, smash that like button if you think Rebecca crossed every possible line, and let me know in the comments. Have you ever caught someone secretly recording you? Because what happens next will leave you speechless. This story gets absolutely insane, and you won't believe how far Rebecca's deception really went. It was buried deep in Rebecca Henderson's digital footprint. A trail of obsession marked Justice Warrior Investigator, carefully hidden from public view until now. 2 hours after Judge Judy's security team confiscated her phone, a trembling digital forensics expert handed over a file that made everyone in the room go silent. This wasn't just a spur-of-the-moment recording attempt. It was a calculated 6-month campaign of surveillance, manipulation, and revenge that would make professional stalkers jealous. Rebecca's Facebook group, Expose Fake TV Justice, had 847 devoted followers who hung on her every post about corrupt judges and rigged reality shows. She had positioned herself as the neighborhood's unofficial investigative journalist, the woman who would finally pull back the curtain on what she called America's biggest legal fraud. Her bio read, "Seeking truth in a world of lies. Hoey president. Mother of 2. Fear me. Fake judges." But her obsession with Judge Judy went deeper than anyone imagined. It started with a single episode she watched during her lunch break at the insurance office where she worked as a claims adjuster. The episode featured an elderly man losing a case about his dead wife's garden. Rebecca became convinced that Judge Judy had been paid off to rule against him, and something snapped inside her mind. She began recording every episode, analyzing Judge Judy's facial expressions, timing her responses, creating elaborate charts about which types of cases received which verdicts. Her basement office became a shrine to her investigation, with printed screenshots covering every wall in red string, connecting different cases like a conspiracy. Theorist's fever dream. Her husband David tried to intervene after finding her watching old Judge Judy episodes at 3 in the morning, taking notes and muttering about patterns of corruption. But Rebecca was beyond reason. She had found her calling, her purpose, her chance to become famous as the woman who exposed America's most trusted TV judge. She started small, testing her hidden recording techniques at local government meetings, school board hearings, and neighborhood association gatherings. She perfected the art of concealed cameras, studying angles, lighting, and audio quality with the dedication of a film school student. The fence dispute with Maria Santos was never really about property lines. Rebecca had manufactured the entire conflict after discovering that Maria was a Spanish speaker who reminded her of several Judge Judy plaintiffs she believed had received unfair advantages. In her twisted mind, Maria represented everything wrong with the justice system, an easy target who would help Rebecca create the perfect setup for her Judge Judy sting operation. She deliberately escalated minor property maintenance issues into legal disputes, filing noise complaints, HOA violations, and even calling animal control about Maria's elderly cat. Rebecca's Amazon purchase history revealed the depth of her preparation. Spy pen cameras, buttonhole recording devices, wireless microphones, even night vision equipment. She had spent over $3,000 on surveillance gear, money her husband thought was going toward their daughter's college fund. Her browser history showed hundreds of hours researching Judge Judy's filming schedule, studio security protocols, and legal loopholes around courtroom recording laws. She had studied every interview Judge Judy had ever given, looking for contradictions between her public persona and private behavior. The most chilling discovery was Rebecca's practice recordings. She had secretly filmed dozens of interactions with neighbors, store clerks, and even her own family members, always looking for moments where she could claim someone was being fake or deceptive. Her laptop contained over 40 hours of unauthorized recordings of people who had no idea they were being watched. She had become a predator, hunting for human vulnerability to exploit for her twisted sense of justice. Her plan for Judge Judy was elaborate and methodical. She had researched every contestant who had appeared on the show, studying their backgrounds and outcomes. She deliberately chose to sue Maria because she knew it would create the emotional narrative that Judge Judy's show preferred: elderly immigrant versus concerned American homeowner. Rebecca had calculated every detail, from her outfit choice to her seating position, ensuring her hidden camera would capture not just the official proceedings but Judge Judy's private moments between takes. The text messages between Rebecca and her fellow justice warriors revealed her true intentions. She planned to edit the footage into a viral expose video titled Judge Judy Unmasked: The Cruel Reality. Behind the robe, she had already created fake social media accounts to amplify the content and contacted tabloid reporters who she believed would pay big money for behind-the-scenes Judge Judy footage. In her mind, she wasn't just attending a TV court show. She was launching a media empire built on destroying someone else's reputation. But Rebecca had made one fatal miscalculation. She assumed that a daytime TV courtroom would have the same security as a local traffic court. She never considered that Judge Judy, after decades in television, would have protocols specifically designed to catch people exactly like her. The hidden camera she thought was invisible had been detected within minutes by security systems Rebecca never knew existed. Her months of planning were about to become evidence in her own destruction. Judge Judy didn't raise her voice. She didn't bang her gavel. She didn't even stand up. Instead, she did something that made every person in that courtroom freeze with terror. She smiled. It was the kind of smile that made seasoned attorneys break into cold sweats, the smile that preceded total destruction. She leaned back in her chair, folded her hands, and spoke in a voice so calm it was absolutely terrifying. "Rebecca, would you please bring your purse to my bench? All of it." The color drained from Rebecca's face like someone had opened a valve. Her hands started trembling as she realized her perfect plan was crumbling in real time. Around her, cameras stopped rolling. Producers began whispering urgently into their headsets, and security guards moved into strategic positions throughout the courtroom. The bailiff stepped forward, his hand resting on his radio, ready to call for additional backup if needed. Even Maria Santos stopped crying and leaned forward. Sensing that something monumental was about to happen, Rebecca clutched her designer purse tighter, as if squeezing it could somehow make the evidence inside disappear. "I don't understand what you mean, Your Honor. This is just my personal bag." Her voice cracked on every word, and the sophisticated confidence she had maintained for 3 hours evaporated instantly. Judge Judy's smile grew wider, more predatory. She had dealt with liars for over 40 years, and Rebecca Henderson was about to learn why nobody tried to deceive America's toughest judge. Bring the purse now. Judge Judy's words cut through the courtroom like ice. Rebecca stood on shaking legs, her heels clicking against the floor as she approached the bench. Every step felt like walking toward her own execution. Behind her, Maria watched in confusion, still believing this was somehow about the fence dispute. She had no idea she was witnessing the moment a calculated predator's 6-month scheme was about to explode in her face. Judge Judy opened Rebecca's purse with the careful precision of a bomb technician. Inside, nestled between makeup and car keys, was the small recording device still blinking with its tiny red light. 47 minutes of unauthorized footage, including Judge Judy's private conversations with staff, confidential case discussions, and behind-the-scenes moments that were never meant for public viewing. But that wasn't the worst part. Judge Judy pulled out a second device, then a third. Rebecca hadn't just brought one hidden camera. She had brought an entire surveillance arsenal. "Madam," Judge Judy said, her voice now carrying the full weight of legal authority, "you have just committed multiple federal crimes in my courtroom. Copyright infringement, violation of privacy laws, contempt of court, and criminal surveillance." She held up Rebecca's phone, which showed not just today's recording but weeks of stored footage from her practice sessions. "And this is just what I can see on the surface." Rebecca's legs gave out. She grabbed the defendant's table for support as the full magnitude of her situation hit her. The hidden cameras she thought made her clever had just transformed her from plaintiff to criminal defendant. Security moved closer as Judge Judy continued examining the evidence. The woman who had spent 6 months planning to destroy someone else's reputation was about to discover what real destruction looked like. And this was only the beginning of her nightmare. Her name was Maria Elena Santos. She stood in the courthouse hallway, clutching a faded photograph of her late husband, Eduardo, in his garden, surrounded by the roses he had planted for their 40th wedding anniversary. The fence that Rebecca was demanding be torn down wasn't just a property boundary. It was the last thing Eduardo had built with his own hands before cancer took him 6 months ago. Maria wasn't supposed to be fighting for her life's memories in a television courtroom, but somehow Rebecca Henderson's calculated harassment had dragged a grieving widow into this nightmare. Maria had immigrated to America in 1983 with nothing but hope and Eduardo's promise that they would build a beautiful life together. For 40 years they had poured their hearts into that little house, transforming a neglected yard into a paradise of flowers, vegetables, and fruit trees. Eduardo's fence wasn't built to spite anyone. It was built to protect the memorial garden where Maria now spent hours every morning, talking to his roses and feeling his presence in every bloom. The fence enclosed not just plants but 40 years of love, sacrifice, and dreams realized in American soil. Rebecca's harassment campaign had started innocently enough. A polite note about property lines, then daily complaints about Maria's foreign music being too loud, phone calls to the city about her clothesline being unsightly, demands that she speak only English at neighborhood meetings. What Maria didn't know was that she had been selected as Rebecca's perfect target. A vulnerable widow who reminded Rebecca of Judge Judy plaintiffs she believed received unfair treatment because of their heritage. The fence dispute was manufactured entirely by Rebecca. She had hired a private surveyor who claimed the fence was 2.3 inches over the property line, then demanded $5,000 in damages plus complete removal of Eduardo's memorial garden. When Maria showed her the original city permits from 2019, Rebecca called them fraudulent. When neighbors defended Maria, Rebecca filed noise complaints against them too. She had turned Maria's entire world into a battlefield, isolating her from the community she had called home for decades. Maria's health had deteriorated rapidly under Rebecca's relentless pressure. Her blood pressure medication dosage had been increased twice. She stopped sleeping through the night, terrified of what new legal document might appear on her door. Her granddaughter Sophia, only 8 years old, had started asking why the mean lady was trying to hurt Abuela's flowers. Maria couldn't explain that some people's hearts were filled with such emptiness that they could only feel powerful by destroying others' happiness. The most heartbreaking part was Maria's faith in the system. She had chosen Judge Judy because she believed America's most famous judge would see through Rebecca's lies and protect a grandmother's right to honor her husband's memory. She had no idea that she was walking into Rebecca's trap, that every tear she shed would be secretly recorded by a woman who saw her pain as nothing more than content for a viral video. As Rebecca's scheme collapsed around her, Maria still sat in that courtroom confused and heartbroken, holding Eduardo's photograph and wondering why anyone would go to such lengths to hurt someone who had never done them any harm. She was about to learn that justice sometimes comes from the most unexpected places. At exactly 4:23 p.m. that day, Judge Judy walked into her private chambers with Rebecca's confiscated devices in her hands. No cameras, no audience, just her and a team of entertainment lawyers who had seen everything in television, but never anything like this. She connected Rebecca's phone to a large monitor and began scrolling through 47 minutes of unauthorized footage, her expression growing darker with every frame. Inside that phone wasn't just courtroom recording. It was a digital goldmine of criminal evidence that would destroy Rebecca's life in ways she never imagined possible. The phone contained far more than anyone expected. Rebecca had recorded Judge Judy's private consultation with her legal team about an unrelated confidential case involving celebrity custody. She had captured privileged attorney-client conversations, filmed confidential court documents left on the bench, and even recorded security camera positions and bailiff protocols. Each clip was time-stamped and organized in folders labeled Evidence, Behind the Scenes, and most disturbingly, Judy Exposed, Final Cut. Judge Judy's legal team identified 12 separate federal violations within the first 10 minutes of review. Copyright infringement for recording copyrighted television content, invasion of privacy for capturing private conversations, violation of attorney-client privilege for recording legal consultations, criminal surveillance under federal wiretapping laws. The damages were potentially catastrophic, with entertainment industry violations alone carrying penalties up to $150,000 per violation. But the real bombshell was what happened next. While Rebecca sat in the courthouse lobby desperately calling her husband for bail money, her pre-edited video clips were already live on social media. She had used an automatic upload feature, and her Judge Judy Exposed content was spreading across Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube before the phones were even confiscated. The clips showed Judge Judy drinking coffee with misleading captions claiming she was drunk on power, and private conversations edited to sound like she was mocking elderly plaintiffs. Within 2 hours, Judge Judy Exposed was trending nationally. Rebecca's followers were sharing the manipulated clips faster than Judge Judy's legal team could issue takedown notices. Major news outlets began calling for comment about the leaked footage. Entertainment Tonight scheduled an emergency segment. Rebecca's plan was working exactly as she had envisioned, except for one crucial detail. She had just committed multiple felonies to create viral content, and Judge Judy had 47 minutes of evidence proving every single crime. The FBI cybercrime unit received an official complaint within 3 hours. Rebecca Henderson had gone from neighborhood Karen to federal criminal defendant in less than 6 hours, and her viral success was about to become her legal nightmare. Monday morning, the courtroom was packed with reporters, legal analysts, and dozens of Rebecca's former neighbors who had driven hours to witness her downfall. Judge Judy arrived carrying a thick folder marked Criminal Evidence and wearing an expression that could melt steel. She didn't waste time with pleasantries. "Rebecca Henderson, you thought you could manipulate my courtroom, exploit an elderly widow, and turn my show into your personal revenge fantasy. You were wrong." Judge Judy opened the folder and began reading Rebecca's own social media posts aloud on national television. March 15th, going to destroy that fake judge. April 2nd, ordered spy cameras. She'll never see it coming. May 10th, found the perfect victim. Old Spanish lady will make great footage. The courtroom gasped. Rebecca's face turned ash gray as her calculated cruelty was exposed to millions of viewers. The verdict was swift and devastating. Maria won her case completely. Defense stays, Rebecca pays $8,500 in damages and court costs. But that was just the beginning. Contempt of court, $25,000 fine. Criminal recording violations. Charges filed with the FBI. Personal restraining order. Rebecca banned from coming within 500 feet of Maria's property. As security escorted a sobbing Rebecca out mid-tantrum, Judge Judy delivered her final blow. "Madam, you picked the wrong grandmother to mess with. Can you believe Rebecca thought she could outsmart Judge Judy and destroy an innocent widow's life for social media fame? If this story is making your blood boil, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell because justice is about to get even sweeter. Drop a comment with your most satisfying karma story. I read every single one. Now let's see how this destroyed Rebecca's entire world." Friday evening, Judge Judy stood outside the courthouse surrounded by Maria's family and neighbors, who had driven from across the state to witness justice being served. With a stroke of her pen, she signed new courtroom security protocols that would protect future litigants from predators like Rebecca Henderson. This isn't just about one entitled woman who thought she could exploit a grieving widow for viral fame. It's about protecting the dignity of every person who seeks justice in my courtroom. She turned to 8-year-old Sophia, who clutched her grandmother Maria's hand tightly. Judge Judy knelt down and said, "Your abuela is a hero for standing up to bullies, and her roses will bloom forever." Sophia smiled through her tears and whispered, Thank you for saving our flowers. The consequences for Rebecca were swift and total. Within 48 hours, her insurance company fired her after clients complained about being represented by a criminal Karen. Her HOA presidency ended in an emergency vote where she lost 47-2, with only her own family supporting her. The FBI cybercrime investigation expanded when they discovered Rebecca had secretly recorded over 30 neighbors without consent, turning her surveillance hobby into a federal case with potential prison time. Her house went up for sale within 2 weeks. No one in the neighborhood would speak to her family. Her children were transferred to different schools after classmates found the viral videos of their mother's courtroom meltdown. Rebecca's husband, David, filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences in criminal behavior that embarrassed our family. The woman who had spent 6 months planning to destroy someone else's reputation had annihilated her own life in less than 6 hours of television. But the most beautiful part of this story belongs to Maria Santos. Her neighbors organized a Maria's Memorial Garden fundraiser that raised $15,000 to expand Eduardo's Roses into a neighborhood gathering place. Judge Judy personally contributed and visited the garden, where she announced the creation of the Eduardo Santos Courage Award for future litigants who stand up to bullies with grace and dignity. Maria's fence still stands strong, protecting roses that now bloom brighter than ever. Surrounded by a community that learned what real courage looks like, Rebecca Henderson tried to destroy an innocent grandmother for social media fame and ended up destroying herself instead. Justice isn't just about courtrooms and judges. Sometimes it's about roses, remembrance, and a community that refuses to let bullies win. If this story restored your faith in justice, if you cheered for Maria's victory, or if you believe karma always finds its way to people like Rebecca, please hit that like button and leave a comment below with the name of someone who showed real courage when facing a bully. Because every hero deserves recognition. Subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss a moment when justice triumphs over entitlement. Let's build a community where dignity speaks louder than cruelty, where roses bloom stronger than hate. We told Maria's story of courage. Now it's time to celebrate your everyday heroes who stand up to the Karens of the world.